How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm doing the video they've just added. It's called the Mastodon DLC, and basically you get this truck. It's a Zikz. It's called the 612H or 612H. I'll probably call it that, or I'll think of a name for it. Yeah, it's basically the old E-Series truck that was from the original MudRunner game. This was kind of like the top of the tree, really, as far as trucks went on that game. And yeah, it's pretty good to see it on this one. Like I say, it's DLC, so even though I've got all the season passes, etc., I still have to pay, I believe it was £3.29 to get this. There's like an example of it next to the Zikz 605R, so you can see like similar sized tyres, they've got the same tyres. This one's got a bigger head, that's what she said. You can see the two front axles are kind of more tucked under the 605's chassis. These ones, it's just got a longer chassis overall, so there's a bit more room. You can get a 3-slot sideboard, but it won't let you have trailers. I'm not going to go through it properly on this video, because I'd like to make like a gameplay and review video, which I'll try and get done for tomorrow. I've had a couple of issues, I'll get to it in a minute, but long story short, I got blue screened again tonight, even though there's been the update. Yeah, I just quickly wanted to check as well if there's any trailers for it. This is why now I have to keep saving the footage every, just because I keep losing it. There's no special trailers or anything. Not that I was expecting one to be. I just thought I'd check quickly while I was there. Yeah, like I said, I've driven this truck before, really. There's a mod version of it, which is nice. But I've always said I wish they just added this version into the game. I've just picked a bit of a... it's called Support Local Rangers, the mission. It's just an excuse to drive across this map, go to the gateway, and once I go onto the Burn Forest map, up there, grab a fleet star and drag it back to that login station. So, yeah, I'm kind of almost out of missions. I've still got some to do. It's just, to be honest, the last week or two, it's... with my granddad passed away and the funeral, it's not really anything crazy. I've just sort of been out of my pattern. I've been awake when I'm normally asleep and just all over the place. I've been going through stuff, so I've had my phone with me, and it just goes flat too quick because I've not been on it or anything. So yeah, I've got messages to catch up to on all sorts. Hopefully I'll try and just get back into the swing of things. I completely, like, my habit and routine has just been thrown right off. Yeah, driving along, I mean, the first thing I noticed for this, it's got quite a nice pace. One thing, I noticed it a little later than now, but it's actually got 6 gears. It's an advanced special gearbox, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe the normal ones have 5 gears, and I've always said for a while I'd love it if they just added a 6th gear as, like, to keep a nice pace going. Yeah, long story short, this truck it's got big enough tyres, and I don't know whether it is like a custom version of the advanced special. You keep enough pace. Bearing in mind I'm driving along the road at the minute, so things always feel a little bit slow on the road because it's just a road. It's a whole different kettle of fish to off-roading. You're just driving along a smooth tarmac road, so it feels like you can put your foot down a little bit. Yeah, something like, I'm going to kind of mainly compare this to the Derry 15C as I'm talking tonight. Just that there's a lot of things I like about the Derry as well. Like, so for people that like it, don't think I'm like knocking your judgment of the vehicle or whatever. It just feels very slow for me. For my needs, I want a bit of a quicker vehicle. This kind of feels a bit like the Derry, but just got a little bit more pace to it, which is good. Like, even when I turned off from the road there to the mud, it slowed down a little bit, but the Derry slowed down a lot more by comparison, I think. So yeah, but obviously one thing the patch was supposed to fix as well is the blue screening issue. And when I was getting the footage, this is like my second go, because I got the footage at the garage there, just drove here, got to about here, and it blue screened me, so I had to load it all back up. And yeah, I lost like the first bit of footage, hence why I'm stopping now and saving it. So this is like pretty much a recreation of what it's like driving along, especially after updating it today. Driving along thinking, yes, they finally fixed the blue screen issue, I won't have any of that crap anymore, and then 2 seconds later, bang, followed by my general reaction.
Those lying goddamn time wasting sons of bitches. Sons of bitches!
Oh yeah, that was pretty much real time. That was my general reaction. And as well, I've just lost a load of the audio footage because it popped up saying unknown error. This game tonight is absolutely gagging for me not to be able to get this video kind of done and out. So yeah, at this point, I mean, it drove over. There's like, I think it's like a tree stump or a seat and a bench and that going there. As you scuff off this rock though, it managed to get up the rock, even though it's got a big chin. Its skid plate doesn't catch a lot, which is what I like. And then when the nose of it went off that rock and kind of hit those little rocks in the middle of the water, again, it's got enough power and grip, and the skid plate isn't too annoyingly light. Some of the skid plates, a good example, particularly back in the day, they did fix it to a degree, but the Colob, the flat face one, the 74760, that skid plate is a little bit catchy. Yeah, I also drove over with like my wheels kind of off the side of that rock, and this thing's pretty good for not tipping. I've not pushed it like, I've actually not rolled it yet, amazingly enough. I didn't really have time to, between all the blue screens and everything else. But you can definitely tell it's gonna be up there in like the pretty decent range as far as not tipping it. Like there's sort of probably better examples later on. I'd say it's definitely less tippy than the Derry 15C as an example. See, now the problem is when I lose loads of a chunk of audio, I never know then. It's like have I said that already, or I've said stuff already but obviously it didn't make it because it kind of unknown error got rid of it, and then yeah, you sort of forget where you are with everything. Made it through those trees though. As we're sweeping around here, it was a bit of a shame really, because this was actually the second run through here, because I got blue screened further up the road, and then it reset me to just before when I crossed that waterfall. And yeah, like I said, it was a bit of a shame, because the first time I came down here, I kind of swept around that corner nicely. I slowed down as I hit this water, but then I put it into high gear, and it stayed in high gear. About now, it just blipped for a second where it showed like vehicle stalling, but then it automatically stopped doing that and carried on going, so I was like, that's pretty respectable. And then it stayed in high and went all the way up this hill. This time though, I got, I assume, more unlucky. There's sort of those dead trees laying around in there, and I think I got caught on one of them, so it did force me to stall and I had to drop it back into auto. And I mean, yeah, that's one of the many shames really when I keep getting blue screens. Sometimes I lose footage that was just very like organically good footage, if you know what I mean. It was just, it happened the way it happened. Like I said the other week, I got like the perfect jackknife going on where I almost rolled but saved it, and it was like the sweetest jackknife I've had on this game. And then yeah, literally a second later it blue screened. So I was like, god damn it, didn't even have time to save the footage. So I can't remember now if I've already mentioned, I know I have, but whether it's made it into the audio. But yeah, this thing's got 6 gears, which going along there, for one, I like that when I'm mashing L1, it actually does jump up the gears most of the time to 5th gear pretty easily, which used to be the case for the trucks. For whatever reason, in the last months, etc., they just won't let us kind of jump up the gears. The game will often try and force you to stay in first and all the rest of it. This feels like it quite naturally just lets you climb up the gears, and yeah, the fact that it has got 6 gears, just when you're ticking along at the top end, it just keeps a bit of a better pace. Which, yeah, I like it a lot. And now it's like going into the burned forest section. It's funny, yeah, with these trees. I wanted to go this way, I went this way on purpose because I was curious to see how those burned trees would actually, like, if they'd catch the axles on this and all the rest of it, because some trucks, even if they look like they've got decent ground clearance, there's just hitboxes on, like, the axles and all the rest of it, and it can stop you moving. So, yeah, I wanted to see kind of how the tyres behave and how the skid plate and all that, if that's catching. Certainly didn't like that bit of mud, but I don't mind that, it is what it is. Obviously I could just click it through the gears, stick it in high gear, and it did climb out of there. Yeah, I think running over some of these trees now, they don't seem too bad there. So it does feel like, obviously the tyres are big enough, but the axles are not just annoying where they clip on everything. So I saved it again, the footage, because I got blue screen. I've already been blue screened twice by now. And then I did actually, no, technically 3 times, because I got blue screened at the gateway as well, which then I kind of loaded the game back up and I started there again. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's not fixed the blue screening for me, but I'm kind of fingers crossed. Sometimes when they do a big patch, you get like a little bit of a soft patch a day or so later where you don't actually have to, you know, like you have to download it to update to version whatever. It will just do it in the background. So I got blue screen 3 times, but I didn't get blue screened like for the last half an hour odd in the game. Yeah, cutting through this way quickly, just like those rocks that were just scuffing the left tyres of my truck. I tipped there when I came the same way with the Derry 15C. It was actually able to climb over that rock. That rock's a bit pointy, but it didn't beach me between like the second and third axle. There's an invisible hitbox wall there. It's not this truck's fault. It did it with every other truck. You just got to take the corner really tightly, otherwise you just clip. Yeah, this invisible hitbox that's solid, whatever it is, you ain't winching through it, past it, or whatever. Again, though, I did tip the Derry at one point here when I went round that corner, particularly taking it like tight on the inside. That's what she said. Yeah, so that's twice as well this truck hasn't tipped where the Derry did. Going round here, keeping it turned again. This was the second attempt. Long story short, the first time I went round, I didn't take the corner tight enough and I had to do a 3-point turn because I clipped that tree. Exactly the same happened with the Derry 15C when I first came this way. First attempt, clipped the tree. Second attempt, feathered the throttle, so I was able to get a tighter corner in, and yeah, I was able to miss it. The turning's quite nice on this. It sort of sweeps the nose round once it goes. Yeah, what I wanted to say, there used to be 2 trees right here that were burnt, laying across the road, and they're absolute wankers for getting caught on your axles and all the rest of it. I think the one of the devs must have played this phase, got caught on those trees. Either that or loads of people complained about them. But it's a nice little shortcut to take. But those 2 trees completely wrecked it every time because they were just unrealistic. It'd break your immersion of the game, and all there's a disaster. And yeah, there's other burnt trees scattered around, so they haven't just deleted all of them. But I think they've specifically gone and removed them. So yeah, first time I travelled through the gateway, I got blue screened, set me back to kind of yeah, about 4 minutes ago or whatever. Second time I did travel through the gateway, and like I say, I've picked the mission support local rangers, so I've got to go up to here, grab a fleet star I believe it is, cut down here, which is a nice little example because there's a road but then there's like a muddy section going across there, and then take it to the log station and drop it off. You do need to repair it as well, so that's the main reason really. I wasn't sure. The way it stages the mission, it sort of tells you you've got to drop it off first and then fix it. Which is probably the best way round to do it, to be fair, because then, I don't know, if you fix it and then tow it there, you might damage it on the way. Yeah, so that's part of the reason I brought the maintenance trailer with me. I also just wanted to see in general if this truck, how it plays out with, you know, has it got enough muscle to pull the trailers, because some trucks in this game, particularly recently where they seem to have broke gearboxes, you take a trailer and it hampers the truck, but not in like a normal, it's not like the weight of the trailer, it's almost, I don't know, like the friction of the trailer, it doesn't play out naturally. It's not like the trailer's heavy and it's obviously a heavy thing you're towing behind you. It just behaves a bit awkward, but at the same time a lot of the trailers, you know, weigh as much as hopes and dreams, so it's not really the weight itself that's slowing you down. Some big fat roots sticking out of the ground there that I managed to hit. Yeah, I'm cutting this way. Like I said, I wanted to attempt going up this hill just because I've taken the Derry 15C up there, I think the Tiger, the Dolphin, so it was a pretty good way to sort of benchmark, see how well this truck can take it. I knew for a start it was going to be a little bit awkward. I've got a trailer at the minute. I think when I did this, well, I attempted it with the Derry without a trailer at one point, and the Dolphin. I mean, it's not doing bad. The Derry got to about here and just completely couldn't get any further. I was trying it in the high-low, medium-low. You can see it's starting to be a bit iffy with feeding power to the wheels now. But then I sort of turned over to the right a little bit. Must have found like a bit of grip, blipped the throttle there, and it did actually start climbing up a bit higher. Which for the most part, I led it a bit at the middle out. It didn't take me that long, but in the end when I got to about now it stopped, and I eventually fired a winch over to the tree on the right, and then you can see the rocks that I'm wedged against on the right, they kind of bow round that way, so as I'm retracting the winch it's kind of forcing my tyres to sort of seesaw around that rock, and it's sort of forcing me to climb a bit higher up the hill, which works out pretty nicely. Yeah, overall, I still think it was a pretty respectable attempt. I only edited about 10 seconds or something out, just where I wasn't really doing anything. I was sort of panning the camera around. And yeah, for having had a trailer, and about now is where some of the other trucks wanted to tip. It probably will show you pretty good with where the trailer is about now. You can see it leans over quite a lot. Yeah, this vehicle never really felt like it was going to tip there or anything. And again, I apologise if I'm repeating myself. It's just, yeah, because I lost about 15 minutes, 20 minutes of audio. In fact, I'll just click that, so if there is an error, it won't delete all the way back. Yeah, if I've mentioned, like, would I say this is worth it, the DLC? I would, to be honest. Like, pay to win's not the right way to describe it. And this thing, it's not OP broken, nothing close. It feels quite nicely. It feels balanced in the game, but it feels fair. It's funny, because that Derry, I was hoping for good things, but it ended up being a bit of a letdown. For me, anyway, that's just not quick enough for me. A lot of other things about it, though, I do like. But it just seemed to be quite typical of, like, they don't give Derry a particularly good showing on this game, whereas the Zikz's, they tend to. And obviously this is kind of like the brother of the Zikz 605R, and that's a nice truck since we've got it. I mean, it's kind of a DLC truck. We got it with one of the phases, so it was not like you had to just pay extra for it separately, but you did have to buy the season pass to get it. Yeah, and this being a Zikz, it feels to me roughly like what I wanted the Derry to feel like, basically. And yeah, it's kind of the most boiled down essence of SnowRunner and old school mud runner. Like, I want a big fat hefty truck that weighs a lot, and it's got, I'd say, crazy amounts of power, but not unrealistic or anything. It's just got loads of torque. You keep going, you just keep smashing your chin into the ground, bouncing around here, there and everywhere, run a few trees over, which I did. This thing, I imagined it would, but yeah, runs trees over pretty well. So yeah, I'd say it's the most, like, out, if you're going to rank all the DLCs, it's like, this has got to be up there among the top most useful ones. Stuff like the Apache was pretty useless. And when I say pay to win, it's not the right word, but it's sort of pay to have a good truck in this game. But I'd rather that, to be honest, because for one, we can have mods for free, so you can have a mod version of this without having to pay for this, and you can equip that mod version to be better than this if you want, and everything anyway. So you're not gaining anything like that, but yeah, the other option is pay to have a crap truck like the Apache, which just then sits in your garage gathering dust, and you never use it again once you've just had a little test around with it and everything. This one is definitely going to be, like, among usable trucks. You've got, like, a 3-slot sideboard on the back. Like I said, I tried it, and you can't have a trailer with it, so it's a little bit, that kind of negates its use to some degree. But yeah, just overall, I mean, it's got the roof rack, spare tyres, it's the options on the back, there's enough to make fairly versatile versions. Like, you know, you've got the normal sideboard, cranes, I think log carriers, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, overall you should actually, like, get some pretty decent use out of it, and I just don't feel like I've been scammed by buying it or anything. It feels pretty decent. Yeah, I sort of appreciate the devs adding it at this level, and I hope to God they don't nerf it, tweak it, break it, or do anything with it, because it's nice just how it is. It's also got a, like, pretty decent fuel tank on it. It lasted me anyway. I was driving around, kind of did this mission, went and had a little drive around after the mission as well, and it was doing fine. And I've obviously got, like, the roof rack that will have some fuel in it. I've got the goddamn horse on me as well. See, when it just does that little stuttering on the frame rate there, it turns out it's the saving cogs this time. But yeah, with the old blue screens, getting my heart going a bit again. Like, oh no. The first time it blue screened me, I was like, God damn it. It really was like, you time-wasting sons of bitches. But again, yeah, I hope there's, like, a little soft patch to this patch, and we'll see. I'm more hopeful, because like I said, it blue screened me 3 times near the start, but since I got to this map and all the rest of it, it didn't blue screen me, so yeah, the game might just needed to get it out of its system or something. So hopefully, touch wood, we're just gonna calm down with that a bit. Obviously, I'll try my mods at some point as well, see if that thing, because that's what worried me when this started blue screening. It's doing it more like my mod playthrough, where it's just random. When I've been getting blue screen recently on my normal playthrough, it's more when I travel through gateways is the main time it's not happy about it. So I can kind of avoid it if I just stick to a mission that's only on one map. For the most part, I wasn't really getting blue screen. I could get the footage as normal and it was quite easy. Obviously, it became more of an issue when the missions I had left were like I have to keep travelling through gateways. Yeah, a little bit slow up there in parts, but again, it's not the end of the world. I've got this truck, a loaf, got the trailer, towing the Fleet Star behind me as well, so it's kind of a bit of a road train going on. And yeah, I think it just probably jumped out of like whatever third gear or whatever it is in back to first or something. Maybe I could have stuck it in the low ranges or maybe even the high gear going up there. And then cutting through, I mean, I'm pretty much fully off-road now. You can see this is like mud. And again, it just keeps a nice pace, but I don't feel like it's an unrealistic pace. I mean, really, what am I doing? 10, 15 miles an hour? I wouldn't say that's ridiculous or anything. And you can see there, it eventually sort of bogged down, but it just doesn't feel like it's trying to waste my time. Whereas, I've got to be honest, the Derry, for me anyway, personally, does, like I say, it's sort of different strokes for different folks, as they say. For one thing, when I get footage, there's like the length of the video, but then I go and edit it, and I've got to watch through it, then I've got to voice through it, etc. So every stage that a truck takes longer than another truck, it doesn't just add an extra 5 minutes for me, it's save an extra 5 minutes 5 times, because I've got to get the footage, edit the footage, voice the footage, render the footage, upload the footage. So yeah, I just have to go through 5 stages of like that extra faffing around. Kind of eats quite a bit of time up, really. And then yeah, when you get here to the log station, I kind of powered over the bench there. The truck touched the yellow box, so I think it kind of counted it as stage completed. Now I've got to repair it. See, another thing that's a good example though, when I'm reversing there, do you see how like I'm the dominant one, the truck is the dominant one out of the truck and trailer? When I was reversing then, it's kind of like the trailer starts moaning and tipping, but the truck's got enough weight to just be like, no trailer, we are going this way. You just haven't realised it yet. Whereas obviously some of the lighter vehicles you reverse and it's the other way around. The trailer's the dominant one where it's, you go to reverse and you want to turn your back end going towards the left, but the trailer will start hinging it around to the right. And in certain situations when you're stuck, you know, in trees and that, it's a little bit iffy. So I always prefer trucks that kind of shove the trailer around. Yeah, fixing it up, you need 367 repair points, I believe, in total, which is a bit sneaky because it's the same where they just put it slightly over, so you're going to have to bring some else for like 17 points. You don't get much money for this one, but you do get to keep the Fleet Star, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I imagine they've got to be around the 80, 100 grand mark, so really it's actually a mission that pays off pretty well. And funnily enough, I did notice it's obviously the Fleet Star's got the front of the long log add-on, and there is a long log trailer just to the right of the screen. Oh, now it would be just to the left. I edited there. So you're already set up there to be able to grab long logs, which you need one set for timber for the locals mission. So yeah, I mean, you can cash that Fleet Star in, but possibly just throwing it out there, you might want to keep it around, maybe do that timber for the locals mission and not have to bring a long log setup truck all the way from Albany River. And then yeah, this last little bit, just quick motoring around. I just thought I'll get a little bit of footage when I've got no trailer on, because this whole tonight really I was driving around with a trailer. But yeah, overall, like I said, I will get it. Obviously, this is not like a proper gameplay and review. I've only tested it on this map, so I'll reserve some of it, like take it not completely with a pinch of salt. I think overall, even driving it tonight, I can get a rough feeling that I'm pretty happy with this truck. But yeah, just to fully confirm it, it'll be nice to go around like Black River, you know, Michigan, Alaska, Tamir, kind of some of the older maps, and see how that stacks up with it. I came back here to drive up this hill with no trailer and all the rest of it, just to see, and it obviously helped. It got further up to here, And I had to do the same, really, I think, with the dolphin, just roll it back a bit. The Derry never even got this high, so it's doing better than that. It's these rocks, just you got to try and get your tyres in the right grooves and that, and then, I mean, it's close. The nice thing, though, you can see, it feels like a challenge, but it's not being harsh, it's not giving it to me on a plate. You know, I had to roll back, I had to try and find, like, the lip for the tyre to run on, and it's good. It just, like I say, it feels very gamey. I know that might sound stupid, but I'm playing a game, and yeah, like, this game often focuses on the lower end of, like, making you struggle. That's the point of the game, is, oh, it's crazy off-roading and you're going to be creeping along at a mile an hour and you're going to keep needing your winch. But yeah, sometimes you want, like, a meaty, top end of the scale truck that just kind of eats the terrain and bullies its way through it, and I'd say this caters to that without feeling like ridiculous or anything. And then now I don't even know where this is. It's on Burn Forest. It's not far past that gooseneck trailer that we had to deliver some stuff. I could tell it was like a track running down the hill, so I'll drop the hammer down here and go for it. I mean, again, you can see the tipping's got to be half respectable because I'm bouncing around a bit. And then now I purposely scuffed that because it would have rolled it, but its nose kind of punched me back round to the left, so it didn't ramp up the side and roll. So yeah, just its own nose kind of punches around and keeps it going straight. I tried it, I was like, is this tree killable? We'll headbutt it and see, but no. It's one of the boys now. It stayed there. Well yeah, that's about it. I mean, the mission was just an excuse to get the gameplay. I like it overall. I certainly, out of all the DLCs, if I had the option to sell some back, this would be one of the last I would sell back to them. Yeah, I'm going to test it on the normal maps, but so far so good. It's looking like it's actually a pretty decent, fair DLC. But anyway, yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf and one of these, and I'll be back soon.